do we think then, guys, we need to be doing as a piece of work? Don't forget, you're producing this folder of work, okay? When I mark it, I match what I see, right, with what the exam board expect. So you need to evidence all of those things, okay? Within your paperwork, you have to evidence every word that is on those pages, right? So let's pick out just those key bits. What's your first sheet going to be looking like in your folder, or what does it need to include in order that you've ticked those boxes? Miriam? Have what? It's going to have like pictures. Initial ideas. So you think we're going to launch into initial ideas at that point? Good. Okay, so, well, somewhere within our folder, right, we need to have then a sheet that's going to be all about ideas. Yeah? Okay, were there any other key bits in there that we need to have evidenced? Right, so we need to have initial ideas. Okay? Right, okay, realistic and detailed. Good keywords. How do we make our ideas look realistic and detailed? What can we do in order that we've satisfied the examiner's request for realistic and detailed? So what could we do to the ideas? Clive? We could do some drawings. So we could have three-dimensional drawings, because actually we all know, don't we, when we draw something in 3 dimensions, it looks realistic. Or at least it looks more realistic than it would if it was 2-dimensional. Agreed? So, the drawing, in order to tick the box on realistic, needs to have some kind of 3-dimensionality. Yeah? What were the other words? Realistic? Detailed. Okay, so, in terms of detail, what do we include in order to make our ideas detailed? What sorts of things do we need to include? How do we... Lauren?
Annotate the drawings and how you want things to be.
Okay, notes. But your notes will include then, boy with blue tie, what? Does it say that, actually, just, does it say specifications in there? What does it say? Okay, so, take that word specification that you just said and is one that we're comfortable with from a GCSE point of view, and now forget that word and exchange it for criteria. Because whenever they're talking about basically what the product should do, they usually word criteria. Yeah? So, your notes around your ideas, okay, need to include the criteria, right? Okay? What else? In order to be detailed. Fergus? So they might have, dimensions. Okay? What else? In order to be detailed. We're designing a product and we're trying to give someone an idea of what that thing looks like. Okay? Or what that thing is like. What else do we want to know? Okay, so we know that it matches the criteria and we know the size of it. Vince? Anything else you want to know? Well, let's make that slightly more specific and think about materials. So when we're making something, do we not think about what we're going to make it out of? Okay. So we're going to want to think about materials. Okay. Not wood. Okay. I.e. we're going to be specific. So you're going to be specific about it, because actually we've made that change from GCSE into A-level, okay? Actually, even at GCSE, they don't really like saying wood. They like kind of specific stuff, don't they? Yeah? So we're going to be saying what kind of wood it is. And you're absolutely right. You're going to be talking about the process, okay, involved in the creation of this idea. So just around the ideas, in order to tick the box on that marks, we need to make sure that we've got criteria referenced, dimensions, materials, processes in the notes around that, and that it's a 3-dimensional drawing. Okay? So let's just check back through that again. Right? Ellie, just read that out again. That first bit. Yeah. Well, you've practiced it now. Practiced it through. Okay. Now, the only thing that obviously my drawing doesn't show is the pluralisation of ideas. So you ain't going to just do one giant idea in the middle of a sheet and say you've finished. Okay? You have to have a wide range of ideas in the same way that you did with GCSE. So you're going to have alternative ideas, aren't you, that are on the sheet next to, and so on. All of them need to have those notes. You need to think about that. You need to reference that. If you do not, you are then not going to be able to get your slice of the 18 marks that are available for that section. Okay? As soon as you haven't mentioned one of these things, you drop out of that box and you trim off at least 6 marks. Yeah? Right. So, within our folder of work, we're going to have this ideas section. Okay? What does it say on this guide here? Does it not?
Oh, I know.
Okay? Right? Well, it is A-level, isn't it? Alright? Okay, but good question, Miriam. Yeah? Because you need to be knowing where you're pitching this to. Now that's why this section takes longer than, but then you do have longer to do it. You've got until October or something. When is it? Right, okay. So you've got a month and a half. No, it's even better than that. You've got two and a half to 3 months. Right? Okay, so, right, by the way, don't do that fatal thing of me saying this timescale and then immediately relaxing, thinking, oh, that's all right then. Okay? Because I think we all know, don't we? Those of us that have done DT subjects, the time goes really quickly, doesn't it? And you sit there and think, well, that's all right then. Okay? And then there's this mad panic at the end and you hand something in that's actually substandard because you didn't actually pull your finger out at the beginning, right? Get the work done early, okay? Then sit about and do nothing if you have time on your hands. Chances are you won't, yeah? But get the work done early. That is vital. This piece of coursework, 60% of an AS. Are you nuts? Of course you're going to do something that's decent, right? Otherwise you are just absolutely round the twist. Okay. Right, have you read that first section? Yes, you have. So you're going to present alternative ideas, techniques. Right, okay. Next paragraph. Sorry, boy with blue tie. What is your name? Alistair. Please can you read the next paragraph under the bit that Ellie finished? Okay, produce.
Ideas demonstrate detailed understanding of materials, processes, and techniques.
Okay, so we've kind of done that, haven't we? Because we've said within our notes we're going to have processes, materials, yeah? So we've ticked that box already. Okay, Alistair, under that.
Produce a final design proposal that is significantly different and improves compared to any previous alternative design ideas.
Right, so this means, guys, that you will need to do some design development. Right, so we've got our ideas. We've done 20 ideas, yeah? Then, in a very Year 7 language kind of way, you pick your favourite one, okay? And that's the one then that you will take forward and you'll develop it. Now, at this stage, for example, you won't have deconstructed that as a drawing and thought really carefully about actually how that's going to be put together. You won't have thought about different ways of that thing being put together. All you would have done is a finished item. Yeah? The other thing that the exam board expects that Alistair's just read is an idea that is sufficiently different and developed or improved from. So that means that you cannot take the initial idea here and reproduce an identical version of it and call it your final design. You have to take it through a series of refinements. Yeah? Now, Those of you that have done GCSE will perhaps remember, for example, you may have taken the project, taken your project, and you've redrawn it like 6 or 7 times on a sheet, and you have made kind of refinements or alterations to shapes or sizes of bits and pieces. Yeah? It might be that actually you've looked at your ideas sheets and you have liked maybe 2 ideas and you couldn't really decide between the 2, so that you produce a kind of mashed up version of those 2 ideas. Yeah? So you can use different aspects from your ideas to create a series of developments. But what you would expect to see would be a sheet that starts with this initial idea, and then it takes it through changes whereby you've added, taken away, or improved bits so that it's ended up as whatever. Okay? Now your notes will obviously support what you've done, and will obviously reference things like processes and so on. Yeah? Now when you've got to this point, you're then in a position to produce a final design. Right? Now, Niall, next line down after the one Alistair read, what does it say?
The design proposal includes technical details, materials, components, processes, and techniques.
So, you're going to have a final design, right? And you're probably going to do lots of different versions of this, because you're going to have a final design that you then annotate with processes, okay, materials, etc. All of those bits are going to be added on that, right? In order that you have satisfied that expectation. Okay? Right, Fergus, line under that.
Modelling through the use of additional materials or 2D and or 3D computer simulations is used to test for.
Okay, how would you do that, Fergus? So what would we do?
Use 2D or 3D simulation programs on the
Yeah, what did you use last year? Do you remember?
Google SketchUp.
So, we tend to here just plump for SketchUp. There are more sophisticated methods of drawing things in 3 dimensions, but that's reasonably intuitive. Okay? It's also a piece of freeware, which means that you can download it on your machines at home. Yeah? So you can get a copy of SketchUp for educational use, and you can have it on your computers at home. And then you can model in it, right? So, you need to have a SketchUp. I would also include a photo, right, of a card model, or whatever, okay? So I'd have a 3D sim, and I'd also have some sort of photograph where you've made a phone model or something. Yeah? Okay? Right, Fergus, have we got to the end of that section?
I'm not sure. What did I go? Final design.
Right, go on, carry on.
The final design proposal is evaluated objectively against the design criteria in order to fully justify the final decisions made.
Right, okay, so in our folder thus far, this is a very slimmed down version, but it's giving you some idea of the journey, right? It's giving you some idea of the sections that you need to have in order to tick this box. We know we've got to have ideas because it said realistic ideas or whatever it was, yeah? We know that we had to develop an idea because it talked about the fact that you had to produce a design proposal that was sufficiently different or developed or improved from, okay? So we know we have to have this development section. We know we have to have a final design because it said something along the lines of a final proposal that shows da-di-da-di-da. We know we have to have photographs and models of 3D stuff because it said have to show evidence of modelling, okay? It's now said you need to have an evaluation, okay? So you're going to have was it called evaluation or testing, Fergus? What did it say?
Okay, it says evaluated.
Okay. So you're going to have an evaluation, but what are you evaluating it against? It's said in the criteria. Vince?
Against the design criteria.
Okay, so evaluation against criteria. Right? Where is our criteria? This seems to be sort of not quite working. We've missed something out. So within our folder, what do we really need at the beginning? Kind of thing. But in this, actually within this context, we just need to have a brief. Okay? If you're doing graphics, it's obviously going to be chocolate related. If you're doing RM, it's going to be chair related. But you're going to have your brief. You're then going to have this criteria, right?
Is that like specification for things?
Yeah. Like a spec. Okay? So you're going to need to have this criteria at the beginning. The reason being, it talked here about referencing your criteria in the notes. Actually said that in the mark scheme. So you need to have a criteria so you can reference it. And then it says you need to evaluate the criteria at the end. So that's why we've got that kind of thing going on within the page layouts. All right. Now there's another whole mark boundary of 12 marks, is it, that I haven't actually read yet. So, girl whose name is
Nicola.
right. You know, relation of CC or something, eh? No. Okay. Nicola, please read the first line in the next bit for me.
Present realistic alternative design ideas.
Okay, so cool.
Yeah.
We've got that going on, right? Next bit.
Ideas and detail are detailed and address most design criteria.
Good. So we've got that going on within our notes. Carry on. Hang on, which bit are you reading there, girl? Because I'm getting deja vu.
The second one.
Oh, I'm sorry. I am getting deja vu. Right. When I said the second bit, I meant this bit here.
Oh.
All right. Because basically what you've done there, Nicola.
Yeah.
Okay. This bit here is the middle mark grading, whereby you've lost out on the 18 marks. So I then look at actually whether you fulfil what's expected in the middle, and then you get the 7 to 12. Right. We'll forget that because we're always aiming for the top. So look at where it says communicate here, and let's just concentrate on what's written in this top box.
Use a range of communication techniques for media, including ICT and CAD.
Okay, hold it there. Where have we shown ICT and CAD in this? Okay, so that's one thing, but does it say variety? What did it say?
Range.
Range. Is one a range?
No.
Okay, so I wouldn't worry. I mean, if you're good at SolidWorks, by all means use that. SketchUp. What? Really? Okay, so whatever 3D thing you need, whatever 3D thing that you can access, that's fine. But that doesn't give you your range. That's one piece of ICT, right? The second thing. Right. Okay. I'm going to come back to this. I'll come back to this. Nicola, carry on. With precision.
Yeah. And accuracy to convey enough detail and comprehensive information to enable third-party manufacture of the final design.
Right. Hold it. Okay. What can we present a third party with so that they could actually manufacture the product that we've designed? What would be the best thing that we could present them with? Fergus, you're on it. Okay?
Am I right?
You are, yeah. So that means that we need this additional page in there, and those of you that have done DT will remember. Okay, you're going to produce an orthographic. I would suggest within this that you use 2D design. Right, now, if we produce this in 2D design, and we produce this in Google SketchUp, and we've done a digi-photograph of the model that we made, and we've used IT to produce our criteria and brief, suddenly we've got a range of IT going on. Okay, so we're ticking that box. Right, Nicola, have you read everything in that box now, or was there something else?
There's still a sentence.
Okay, let's go for that.
Annotation provides explanation and most technical detail of materials and processes with justification.
Okay. So the only thing that we've missed out then on our ideas sheet, right? We've talked about materials, processes, criteria, but we haven't justified. So you need to make sure that, as part of that, that you've justified why you've done that, okay? So I decided to make this out of Iroko because it has an attractive darker colour, and it is rot resistant, and it da-de-da, okay? Yeah? No, we don't say stroll, as you damn well know, right? Okay. That, guys, is basically what the ideas, the design section looks like, right? And that's also giving you some idea of why we structure it in that way. Because the exam board are asking for evidence of that. Now, we should move on to